launcher. Katana Garage in the building. Your boy Frasso Frass over here. Let's just get greasy. Let's get it. Let's go. Alright, so this bitch is about to be under the knife. She is beautiful, but broken. So, see how much power we can make out of this. What up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's Katana Garage. We're back again with some sick content. So, we got a 2018 Hellcat, I guess you could say Trackhawk Hell Kitty. You know what I mean? It's a badass piece of machinery here, but it's broken. It's got some kind of knocking going on. So we're hoping that it's not too catastrophic. The battery is dead. I'm currently trying to pull some codes off of it right now as I'm using the Zeus. But I'm gonna start it up. Yeah, I'm gonna start it up and just so you can hear what's going on with the engine. So let's go. Okay, so we got it started and she is knocking. Oh yeah, and that, yep, it's coming from the bottom portion of the engine. So how you can tell if it's a rod knock differently from like a top end failure, referring to the cylinder heads, is if you rev it and the knocking sound increases. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can hear that. It's really knocking. Young Katana in the building. But anyway, so we're gonna pull it apart. I'm gonna see what's going on with it, see what the internals are looking like. Hopefully we get to build it and probably make some good power. It would be nice to really do an overkill build on this. You know what I mean? Put some drop ins and stuff. But let's just get right into it. See what's going on. So you know how we do. You know we stay greasy. Let's get greasy. Let's get it. So I'm trying to pick it up on the Zeus here. Let me see if I can gain access to anything. It doesn't really. Yep. The battery's dead, so not really getting any feedback. Let's see. It would be nice to pull some codes first, but I don't think we're gonna be able to here in this instance because the battery is dead. I got my NOCO on it, but it keeps killing my NOCO too. So I think I'll probably just try to figure out what's going on with it. I'm gonna fly kind of solo here. So anyway, first thing I'm gonna do is remove the supercharger because I want to gain access to the timing case. I suspect that it might have a timing chain issue, as well as it could have a catastrophic failure in terms of the rotating assembly. So I'm just gonna start taking all this stuff apart. I'm gonna try to be a little bit detailed as possible, try to get you guys some good content, but for the most part we got to get this going. So let's do it. Hey, where's your shoes?
I put mine on just now.
AJ, you gotta get some shoes, man. Okay, before the supercharger, we gotta take off this cowl right here. So it only is gonna make everything easier. I mean, I might just not remove that. No, but I gotta remove that. I'm not gonna cut any corners here. I just went ahead and disconnected a couple wires right here. However, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the bumper. I don't really want to get it scratched or anything. And go ahead and remove it, only because it's gonna make it easier for me to get inside the timing case. I don't want to have to deal with this extra room right here. So that's kind of like one of the things I do. So to remove it, just it's pretty simple. There's a couple clips. One clip here, one clip here. I believe there's a clip under here, underneath the wheel well. So you want to go under there and get those clips out. I might end up just jacking up the vehicle as well, just a little higher, so I can be able to work underneath it, and then get some clips from in here and get these clips off, and that should be it. So let's go. All right, so we got the bumper off just to keep everything nice and neat, and here's what it looks like underneath. But I found something interesting when I took the bumper off. If you come down here to the left front of the vehicle, I found that we have a massive coolant leak right there. Let me zoom in on that. So it seems like the bottom portion of the radiator might have cracked right there. So that's not good. So I'm pretty sure the engine might have overheated. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep digging in and see what I find. Here's a closer look at the radiator itself. And you can see right there, it is leaking. This radiator is finished. It's not obvious. I mean, not clear why, but probably on age, it does look like to be the factory radiator in here. Anyway, I'm gonna drain out the coolant real quick and get that going. Remove the radiator and I have more access to the timing case. So that part. So next up, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna kind of remove this upper radiator support right here. That way I could gain access and remove the radiator and all that stuff. Because it's gotta come out. I gotta replace it anyway, so. Okay, so I've got the radiator out. I do apologize that I didn't video the steps to do that. However, I will walk you through it. So here, you're gonna have the reservoir for the supercharger, the coolant reservoir. It sits right here, and there's a top portion of the charge water pipe. It's an inlet and an outlet pipe. Please be sure before you remove those, you mark which pipe goes on the top, which pipe goes on the bottom. Very important, as it's a return and a feed. All right. So both these two hoses tie into the upper reservoir right there. If you follow the lines coming down, you'll notice that the pump is right here. So that's actually what makes that winding sound when the vehicle takes off. Everybody likes to hear that little supercharger whine. So that's actually what makes that sound, not the supercharger itself. So just wanted to be clear on that. Secondly, be very careful when you're taking it out not to damage the AC condenser. You're gonna want to remove the charge air cooler. That's gonna be that right there. So that's the water cooler for the supercharger. So you're gonna remove that. That punches onto these two tubes right here. There's another one. I might have removed it already. So one goes here and runs up into the coolant reservoir for the supercharger. Next, what you're gonna want to do is kind of disconnect the shroud, the support, kind of disconnect that fully, disconnect the latch for the hood release, and remove that whole thing. Thirdly, there's a few steps. You can't just access the timing case by just removing the timing case. I guess you could. We still got these water inlet tubes which are going to be in your way, so you kind of want to follow the procedure properly. After that, you want to disconnect your wire harness from the front of the engine, from the AC condenser, and any kind of tabs that you might have securing the harness to the cylinder head. You want to remove those, the brake booster. You want to remove the supercharger snout vacuum reference line, which is going to be this one. It's a charge line, so you want to remove that charger. Any sensors. This is the third T-map. This is the second T-map, and there's another T-map on the supercharger, so you want to disconnect those and set those off to the side. Secondly, on the runner, I keep saying secondly, I don't know why, but on the runner, the crossover for the water, you want to disconnect any sensory wires that you got going on over there, as well as your temperature sensor connectors. You're gonna then come over here and disconnect your fuel feed to your rail. So this yellow line right there, I'm gonna zoom in on it. That with that yellow tab, that latch pin. So you're gonna disconnect that from the rail right here, and then kind of put something inside after you disconnect it. And before you disconnect it, you want to do the proper fuel. You just want to drain out the fuel properly. So how you did it, you pull, it's a fuse, yellow fuse is 20 amp. You pull that fuse, and then you start the vehicle, run the vehicle until it runs out of fuel pretty much. So you want to follow that procedure before you remove that, or you're going to have fuel spraying all over you. So you don't want that. You have to remove your alternator. So it's just 3 15mm bolts. You have to remove the chassis ground. Be sure to remember when you're putting this back together that you put the chassis ground back, or else the vehicle will not start. Just want to make that clear. Remove any sensory wires that are going on down here, your oil pressure sensor, your crank position sensor, your oil temperature sensor, all that stuff. Just kind of like remove all that. You don't really have to remove the pulleys. You just leave those intact for now. Now we're going to work on the supercharger. On the supercharger removal, it's a bit different. You don't start from the middle and work your way out. You actually start from the number 10 bolt, and you go number 9 on this side. And then on the back side, you remove number 8 and 7. And actually work your way 5, 6 and 5, 4 and 3, and 2 and 1. So that's how I remove that. I'm gonna remove it real quick and set it off to the side, and then we'll get a better look at the valves. Yo, let me tell you, that thing was heavy. I'm not gonna lie, but I took it off already. I had to call my wife out here to help me lift it up. But man, I had to pretty much climb in here and pretty much manhandle this thing, but finessed it enough to where I didn't damage any of the cylinder head. There's no nicks or anything like that, so just be very mindful. What I did notice when I pulled it off is the amount of coolant inside of this thing. Look at all those look at all that coolant in the cylinder walls. So I'm not sure, and that's in the cylinder head, sorry. So I'm not sure what the hell. I don't think that's supposed to be in there. Yes, it seems like this thing had a head gasket failure. It might have overheated. So, because I remember I did tell you that even the radiator exploded. You can see the telltale sign right there. It's been there for a minute, but we're gonna continue to tear down. So far I don't really see any bent valves. I'm gonna kinda extract all the water from out of there and see if I can clean that up any better. But and just kind of get a good visual. But the valves don't seem bent. They seem like they're intact to me. I mean, yeah, they don't seem bent. If they were, they wouldn't be sealing and there wouldn't be any coolant in there. So that's good. So we're gonna proceed removing the timing cover. So it's a series of bolts. So just be very mindful when you remove this thing. And I believe it's some 13 millimeter bolts, 10 millimeter bolts here for the water pipe to the heater. So you want to remove two 10 millimeter bolts back here as well. I believe they might have a ground strap on them. They sure do. I know Hemis very well. So I'm going to remove these two ground straps here. This connector here and a connector here on the back of the pipe. And then there's a 10 millimeter bolt after this nut. There's another 10 millimeter bolt. So let's get those out. Just whiz those out. It does say to remove the supercharger tensioner. You can, but for me, I'm not gonna remove that right now, only because I don't need to merely. So I'm just gonna take off everything from off of the water pump and then move to the crankshaft. I'm gonna remove that. Probably gonna have to slightly lower the subframe. That way we can remove the oil pan, or lower it. That way we can remove the timing cover. So got quite a bit of things to do here. So let's go. Okay, so I'm down to the last bolt, and a good practice to have is to number the bolts, because they do vary in sizes, and the schematic doesn't really tell you what size go where. So this method kind of saves me some time as far as trying to figure out where all the bolts go when I'm reassembling everything. So I'm just gonna remove this last bolt here. Just to make sure everybody's like nice and free. Just gonna remove this last bolt at the top. Try not to lose any bolts in the process. If some fall, no big deal, because I already got them numbered, so I ain't gotta worry about all that. That's just how I do it. So go ahead and move everything right here as a unit. Man, it is on there still, so just gonna take it off and then move to the case. After we got the water pump moved, next thing we want to move to is the AC compressor. By the manual, you're supposed to discharge the system and evacuate the refrigerant. In this case, I am not doing that. I'm trying to preserve as much as I can and save the homies some bucks, because this is a special refrigerant. It's a 1234YF. It's definitely different from the R134. So keep that in mind. It's a different fitting on the ports to recharge the high and low side. So that's what makes it different, and not everybody has that in 2023. So that's why it's better to kind of just be careful removing the radiator and stuff, not to damage anything, and also not to evacuate the refrigerant. Also, you don't want to pollute the air, so it's best to do it this way. Anyway, there's one bolt at the bottom here, another one at the bottom right here. So there's two bolts at the bottom and one at the top. You remove those and just suspend the AC compressor with a bungee cord. You can tie that anywhere on the frame of the vehicle just for security. Yeah, so next I'm gonna move to the crankshaft pulley. And again, this is what it should look like. This is the tool you use to remove it. The bolts go directly through the harmonic balancer, and then the pulley tool is installed, and then you drive this this bolt down. It presses against the crankshaft and pulls the pulley upwards. So that's how you do that. So just an FYI. Secondly, I'm gonna go in and remove these 13mm bolts all around. I think for the most part they should be all the same size. But try not to mix up the bolts as you go along. And then there's 5 bolts underneath here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the opposite end. For the oil pan, you want to remove those. You do not have to drop the oil pan. In my case, I'm going to end up dropping the oil pan anyway. But before I do that, I want to take off the timing cover. See that I'm already right here. That way I can inspect the timing components, make sure everything looks good right there. So let's just pull this off. Okay, so far nothing really looks damaged. I can tell that the timing chain is stretched a little bit by how the movement around the sprocket. It shouldn't wobble like that. So I know the timing chain is stretched. However, there's nothing significant going on. The tensioner still holds tension. You know what I mean? I don't see anything going on in here. So at this point, I guess we're diving further. I had hoped it was the timing chain that was smacking around in there, but in this case it's not. It seems like we actually are gonna rebuild this engine only because we suspect a rod. Okay, so we're gonna start to remove the cylinder head. I already got some components underneath the car. It's assembled, so I'm gonna take you underneath here just to show you. I'm kind of locked up in my garage right now. It's kind of late at night, so that's gonna work. Got the whole week off, so why not? Anyway, this is what I got going on. So I've got the forward drive axle shaft, which is that shaft over there. It is removed, disassembled and removed. So you want to remove that first, and how you do it is you got to support the diff here, or the I forgot what the right name for this is. I think it's differential. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, you want to disconnect this bracket, but you got to support the transmission here. You got to support it and move that bracket. When you move this bracket, you're gonna gain access to the exhaust, both sides, and the differential drive axle. So you're gonna remove the front one, and that's over there on this tripod here. But you're gonna move the front one there. Good. And then you're gonna be able to move the exhaust. You won't be able to move anything unless you move this bracket right here. So just a point to note there. After you remove that, just go ahead and button up this bracket, because we're not taking out the transmission. We're going to use this to support the transmission together with the subframe when we take out the engine. So anyway, make sure you get all that stuff disconnected first, and then you will be able to remove the cylinder heads with the headers in place. So I apologize if I didn't video that, but I mean, if you're at this part in the project, you should at least bare minimum know how to remove your exhaust and a drive axle shaft. So anyway, I'm just gonna start by removing these ignition coil packs. I already disconnected the harness. Make sure you do that to the other side. I have not started disconnecting them, so make sure you do that. And then after you do that, we're gonna remove the valve covers so we can remove the rocker shaft assembly and push rods, so we can go ahead and gain access to the head bolts. So I'm not gonna shoot that on video. I'm just gonna shoot when I actually remove it, and then go from there. Try not to bore you guys, so let's go. So here's one side of the coil packs, and they're held in by 10mm bolts. So just go ahead and undo them real quick and just set that off to the side somewhere. You can mark them so that when you're doing the reinstallation, you know exactly where they go. So you can mark them to their respective cylinder. and then it will make, just put everything back uniform. So let's go ahead and remove the other side. It's gonna be the same procedure. Just unmove these clips, undo these connectors. Be very careful not to break them. There's a safety latch. Remove the safety latch and just take them out, and then undo the 10mm bolts. So I'm gonna just smash through those right now. All right, now that you got the ignition coil packs moved, make sure you disconnect the harness down there. It's a little tight to remove them. Just be careful. Now we're gonna get these 8mm bolts down in here. You can see them at the side of the valve cover right there. I'll zoom in on that. Those 8mm all around. You're gonna get them, all of them. Just disconnect them and then remove them, and then just take the valve cover off. Be careful to mark the valve covers so you know which valve cover goes to which bank. Now we got the valve covers off. It's a good time to go ahead and try to see if we can inspect the valve train as far as the rocker assemblies, push rods. So nothing's moving. I don't feel anything broken. Up top looks pretty alright. Those push rods, I'm gonna check them to see if any of them are bent when I pull them out. I don't see anything significant on the cylinder head assembly side of things. Oh, this one's pretty loose. Let's see here. Alright, well, we're gonna go in and dive in deeper. So what you want to do is be cautious to remember what rocker shaft goes on what part of the cylinder head. So there's a side that goes to the intake and a side that goes to the exhaust. They're held in by 10mm bolts, and they actually hold down the push rods. So be very careful to pay attention what push rod goes where, and what rocker arm goes where. So let's go ahead and remove these 10mm bolts. It's gonna be 4 of them, and just keep everything uniform when you're putting them away. So let's do that. I got the exhaust and the intake rocker arm assembly on the driver's side removed, and just wanted to show you a good way to memorize how the push rods go, because there are different sizes. So you can say on the left hand side, when you're reassembling the motor, or the cylinder head rather, you're gonna start with the longest push rod, and that's gonna be the exhaust push rod. So you're gonna go exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, and then the last one back there is gonna be the intake one. So always remember, so that's how you keep them uniformed. Another way to look at it, you can look at it as all the second holes in line, those ones carry the longer push rods, and those go to the exhaust. You can also see them pointing toward the exhaust side, so you can always use that kind of method. But the shorter push rods are the intake push rods, the longer push rods are the exhaust push rods. Do not forget. And for the right side, is gonna start with the shortest push rod first. So for the right hand side cylinder head, shorter push rod first when you're installing. So it's gonna be intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust is the last. So don't forget, is I've seen a lot of guys mess up like that. You know what I mean? Just be mindful, be professional, you know what I mean, and just pay attention. Let's proceed. Okay, so now we've got access to these 15mm bolts that I spoke about. Make sure you get yourself a long breaker bar, because they are in there. I believe they're about 100 foot-pounds down. So let's go ahead and remove them all. We're going to start from the middle. work our way out. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then we lift. Make sure you remove your pulleys. I kind of like to leave my pulleys on there, kind of like an extra grabbing point. But before they go to the machine shop, make sure you remove them. But I use them to help me lift the cylinder. So it's a little tech tip right there. So let's go ahead, get these cylinder heads off and see what they look like. Okay, so after we get these ones loose, went ahead and loosed up that side as well. Go ahead and loosen up these 10mm bolts. So right here, there should be 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go ahead and loosen those up. And then should be good to remove the cylinder head. Be sure to set like a catch can or anything underneath the engine, because you're gonna be, dripping coolant and all that stuff from inside the chambers. So be mindful of that part. So I'm gonna go ahead and just remove them real quick, and then I'm gonna set them over there. Okay, so now we got the heads off. Pushed that one piston and it actually went down, so I suspect that one, the bearing has failed. So I'm just gonna pull the motor at this point. What I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna go back there and remove all the transmission bell housing mounting bolts, which are these bolts here. You should have some at the top right here. One there, one there. So I'm just gonna remove those. And then I also have my engine mount bolt partially removed. Then I'm gonna go underneath the engine and disconnect the torque converter bolts. Should be a pair of 6 bolts, so that's 12 bolts, so that's 2 on each side. So I think it's 10mm bolts, but I'll take you guys under there when I'm gonna do that. For now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disassemble the headers off of the cylinder head. So header / in exhaust manifold, I'm gonna remove these just to make it a little bit more maneuverable, and I'm gonna be taking these to the shop anyway, so they're gonna machine it with all this stuff on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all this stuff real quick and put that off to the side, and then further inspect the cylinder heads. This is not his first time disassembling an engine, yet alone he's gotten the opportunity to work on the highly precedented 707 horsepower Trackhawk. What we're doing, I took the motor out because I'm going to be building it. We're going to be our goal is to make upwards 1100 plus horsepower on this block. So what I'm gonna do is take it completely apart, disassemble it down to bare bone. It is in short block right now. Got the heads over there, so pretty much we're gonna disassemble everything. We're gonna take it over to the machine shop, get it blueprinted, and then we're gonna give a little overview of the parts that we're gonna be putting in it and how we're gonna go about supporting 1000 plus 1100 plus horse. So without further ado, Katana Garage, just gonna get it done. Let's go. Go. Okay, so we've got the engine flipped upside down. What we're gonna do is take off the oil pan so that way we can gain access to the mains and remove the pistons and stuff like that. So what we're doing is we're working our way outward because we don't want to bend the oil pan. So we just got that one, and we're gonna go over here and get this one. And we'll get this one right here. All right. Young apprentice there. Apprentice. Smile for the camera, apprentice. What you want to hold up and take? Yeah, bro, you see with that much in there. All right, yeah.
Shall we take it from here?
Yes.
All right.
All right, yeah. Now you see it? Yeah, make sure you attack it straight. All right, we're gonna go a little faster here, Mr. Knowledge, sir. You hold the camera.
I'm almost speed this shit up.
Yeah, you almost, but could be doing this. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure, bro. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not so confident. Yeah, no, I got you, buddy. I got you, man.
Oh, yourself, man. You know, say I might stand up. I say, I think it's on double. You think I joke? I say, huh?
Come on now. There you go. You see the motion?
Yeah.
All right. Over there, over there. Yeah. And now the oil pan is ready to come off. So I'm just gonna carefully lift it up. You not want to damage this, as this is a very precious SRT tone. And they're pretty hard to come by, as they do not make the 2018 SRT anymore. Look at all that metal shavings right there. That's a good telltale sign of what was going on inside the block. Oh my lord, look at all these metal shavings. Look at these big chunks of metal. That's all metal right there. So this engine has definitely seen better days. I can tell you that much. And I'm literally just scooping metal shavings off of the winded tray. That's all metal caked up. So I'm pretty sure that the bearings are shot. The pistons look alright, but I'm pretty sure they're shot. So got quite a bit of disassembling to do. These windage trays are not reusable.
And these are also metal shavings in here, correct?
Yeah, this is metal. You see how it looks like. How you can tell is how shiny, and it looks like almost like shimmer. How shimmery it is and how thick it is. You get what I'm saying? That's all metal, and that's bad. That's really bad. So this engine has suffered from a catastrophic failure. So hence why we're building it. But we're about to make it great again, because that's what we do. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna continue disassembly and just see where this takes us. Please send them and move up and down in that cylinder. You hear that? You hear that? You hear it go? That's how because the bearing gets fucked. Here, listen again. You hear that? It sounds like it dropped. Listen. Because there's space between here. You know, that shouldn't be, bro. It should be tight, like, you know what I mean? Like these, like this one. It's alright. This one, yeah. Fucked it. Rod knock on number 1 cylinder. Okay, so upon disassembling, we stumble upon what seems to be the cause for the failure of this engine. One of the causes. So as I rotate the engine, you will notice a thump. So I'm going to turn the music down so you can catch that. So you will notice a thump, and you're listening for that sound in this vicinity right here. So as I rotate, you're going to listen for that. Hear that? I'm going to come up again. Hear that? Now, what we're gonna do is give it the old wiggle test. No good. That shouldn't be any movement between these connecting rods. Here's another connecting rod. There's no movement, literally wiggling the whole engine. Here's this rod. So I believe this is the number 2. So this is number 2 cylinder. And this connecting rod has been compromised. And I'm pretty sure the crankshaft is compromised as well. I'm going to measure it and see if it checks out, if you can use it or not, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be needing a new crankshaft. So, telltale sign, when you have a rod knock, what happens is, as the engine rotates, the noise rotates with the engine. So if I go faster, you'll hear it. And so while the engine's rotating at high RPM, obviously the noise increases. So that's pretty much what you're hearing. So, yep, that's the culprit. So if you ever hear that noise, clang, 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 rod knock.
So all these are rods.
These are connecting rods. These are piston connecting rods. When I disassemble it, you're gonna see exactly what they look like.
Okay.
This is some tough stuff for the Trackhawk, but I'm gonna put some tougher stuff in there. So I'm just gonna separate it. And once I separate it, I'm gonna go ahead and put them back together. You can see how hot the back of the fucking connecting rod got. Look at that, how hot it is, how black it is and distorted. I ran this thing hot. I only hope the crankshaft can be saved. So, now we're gonna take out the piston. This is how I like to do it. Kind of like guide it in now. And this is one piston. Yeah, this bearing was spinning as well. So it's safe to say that all bearings are spun on this motor. This is the one in question. Sometimes they'll just fall because they're so worn. I mean, look at that. Look at this. I'm able to, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Look at that. Like what bearing? Take a look at this, guys. Wait, where's the bearing on here? Where am I? Where's the bearing on here? Look at that. That thing is paper. Oh my God. Like you just saw what bearings are supposed to look like, right? I got it. It's not going to fall. Look at this. Look at this. This thing is paper thin. Oh yeah, this crankshaft, I hate to say it, but this crankshaft is toasted. You know what I mean? You know, just go ahead and take out this piston.
Okay.
Here, hold this.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and drop this motherfucker. Yo, oh my, look at the bearing in the fucking top portion of the rod. Jesus. Yeah, boy. This here. Oh my God. I have never seen a bearing that thin. And that's what happens. You just grind it out and grind it out until it just straight obliterates itself, disintegrates. Look at that. That's the top portion of the bearing. And here's the bottom portion. So this thing is paper thin. Look at that. So this is a result of poor oiling, just neglect, and just man, whoever owned this thing really dogged the living shit out of this car. Yeah, this shit's fucked. Anyway, that part. It's critical to do frequent oil changes on performance vehicles like these. It's very critical to also run the top tier grade oils and fluids. You don't want to be running any cheap junk. And running cheap junk, getting your oil changes at Jiffy Lube, and that will cause this. Like, look how hot that is. Look at, even the rod itself is grounded. This thing, look at the crankshaft. The crankshaft is so grounded. Like if you feel right here, feel your is beyond the repair. So we're gonna need a new crankshaft. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, with your Hellcats and stuff, do not go to Jiffy Lube. If you go to Jiffy Lube, do so at your own will. They will not pay to rebuild your engine. So just want to put that out there. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen bearings this bad. These are bad. I've been building engines for like 13 years already. I've never seen bearings that bad. And this thing, stock. It's a stock engine. You know, so yeah, that's what happens when you neglect your ride. Don't neglect your ride. Expensive. Yep, so this one was out the number 2 cylinder. So I'm hoping that the number 2 cylinder is not compromised either. But we know we can't use a crankshaft. And yeah, so that's that.
That is that.
So, we're just gonna go ahead and disassemble everything off camera, and then pick back up when we got the bare block, and then ship it off to the machine shop. Do I know?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. You know the vibe. Stay tuned for the next video. Or I'll probably be putting this video into another video. Who knows? But anyway, you know how we do. Katana Garage. Peace.